Tonight, the Middle East stands at another dangerous crossroads. Just when many believed the guns had fallen silent and a fragile ceasefire was beginning to hold, the skies lit up once again. Iran has launched missiles toward Israel in what Israeli officials describe as the first direct missile attack since the ceasefire took effect earlier this year. Air raid sirens wailed across northern Israel. Families rushed for cover. Schools were shut down. And across the region, a single question began to echo. Has the ceasefire collapsed? For weeks, diplomats worked tirelessly to prevent exactly this moment. Behind closed doors, negotiators spoke of stability, de-escalation, and a path away from war. But in the Middle East, peace can be as fragile as glass. And tonight, that glass may be cracking. The latest confrontation began after Israeli airstrikes targeted areas in Beirut linked to Hezbollah. Iran had repeatedly warned that attacks on Beirut would not go unanswered. Those warnings were not empty words. When the missiles were launched, the message from Tehran was unmistakable. Iran wanted Israel and the world to know that it was willing to respond directly. Israeli air defense systems moved into action. Interceptors streaked across the night sky. Military officials reported that incoming threats were being engaged. Yet regardless of how many missiles were intercepted, the strategic reality remains the same. A line has been crossed. This is no longer just about rockets, missiles, or military targets. It is about deterrence. It is about credibility, and it is about what happens next. Because history teaches us a dangerous lesson. Wars rarely expand all at once. Instead, they grow step by step. A strike, a retaliation, a counterstrike, then another. Until suddenly, what seemed like a limited confrontation becomes a regional crisis. Tonight, military planners in Tehran are watching. Military planners in Jerusalem are watching. World leaders are watching. And millions of civilians throughout the region are watching as well, wondering whether they are witnessing a brief flare-up or the beginning of a new chapter in a conflict that has already reshaped the Middle East. The stakes could not be higher. A wider conflict would not remain confined to one border. It could draw in additional armed groups, threaten critical shipping routes, disrupt global markets, and create new humanitarian crises across an already unstable region. That is why diplomatic phones are ringing nonstop tonight. That is why calls for restraint are growing louder. Because once momentum toward escalation begins, it becomes increasingly difficult to stop. The missiles launched tonight may eventually disappear from the headlines. The smoke will clear. The sirens will fall silent. But the consequences of this moment could last far longer. The ceasefire has been tested. Trust has been shaken. And the world now waits to see whether leaders choose restraint or retaliation. Because in the Middle East, sometimes a single night can change the course of an entire region. And tonight may be one of those nights.